Well, welcome everybody. It's another Tuesday evening, and you've all joined in for Conscious Gatherers. I'm joined tonight with Bev Thompson, my co-host who started with me. We have Royce with us, and we have Donna with us. We've kind of formed a group here in the Conscious Gatherers. We meet every other Tuesday together to see what we'd like to bring forth the following week on this podcast. So we are all here tonight. Ladies, say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. This is Bev, episode 19.
Wow, moving right along.
Yes.
So we also have started a YouTube channel, which is Conscious Gatherers, and you can find our episodes there. And you're welcome to share that link with your friends and family and whoever else might be interested. Anything else you want to say there, ladies?
Well, you'll find a little bit about each of the episodes under when you click on the episodes themselves. And I think you'll find a lot of, a little prejudiced here, but all the episodes very interesting. And we're here to help awaken people as to who they are and why they're here on this earth at this time, what's going on, and the way to look at ourselves more fully and wholly. WHOLLY, holy. Okay.
Which makes HOLY. When you're whole, you're holy.
There you go.
Also, since I'm the only male here, it's easy for our listeners to know who I am. So, ladies, if you have something to share, just share your name first and then share so we know who's speaking.
Okay.
All right, very good. All right, are we ready?
Absolutely.
All right. Good. Well, we wanted to share a few things with you tonight that I think you'll find very interesting. And I'd like to start off with us understanding that we are leaving the shackles of separation. What does that mean? We have been a species, again, I go back to the great experiment talked about in many of the episodes, where we lost our knowingness in our connection to Source or as Source. And that is now opening each of us up. Many of us have known this for a while. There's been a few cycles of what they call awakening, and right now there's a huge awakening going on. And even though the four of us have known about this for quite a long time, it's a lot of the information is still new, or we're starting to realize many of the things that we have received and talked about and discussed years ago, but we're watching it being played out. Mm-hmm. All right, I want to go into the shackles of separation and leaving those shackles. And those shackles are, again, of our own making. What we're seeing on the earth plane, it's pretty amazing of all the chaos and the turmoil, et cetera, et cetera. And last week we talked about what is it that we have inside of us that where we see turmoil, brings up many things within us. So it's well, you can call it the dark side, you can call it the light side, but it's a balance of what's going on. But we're starting to see all of that, and we're seeing it playing out in a big way on this earth. And it's not to scare anybody at all, because I think it's all going to turn out just fine. But we needed to see what those what's the right word? I'm asking for help here. But we're starting to see what many of those shackles are and constraints in the social society, cultures, all of that. And it's wonderful that we have the different cultures, but through this whole process, we have, and I'm saying we as a whole of humanity on Earth, we have played into different religions, things that one society may do, another society say no way. And it might be eating beef. It may not, having cows on the street, such as in India. I'm just throwing out a few examples there. And it's fine for one culture, but not fine for another. And that goes into, of course, some of the religions that have been playing out on this earth plane. So I feel never have I seen such separation, but because we're starting to see this play out, I feel eventually it's going to bring us together. And things are going to happen where we are going to come together, and we're going to. And a lot of people are saying, "Enough's enough. What's going on? I'm done with this." All these words that we have used in the last few months, especially since the COVID-19 has started, and now they're talking about other things that may affect us. So scare tactics are being played. Be careful to fall into that fear, because as soon as you do that, that lowers your energy and it helps nobody. So it's really to take a look at why you fear that. So anybody want to add to that?
Well, this is Royce. You were talking about the shackles of bondage. If anybody has ever studied the tarot, card number 15, key 15, is entitled The Devil, and it's on there are two figures, a male and a female figure, and they both have shackles around their necks. But the the chains are so loose, all they would have to do was to reach up there and pull them off. So it's a bondage, like you said, of our own making, where we let our guard down. We hand over our discernment to any and everybody else instead of ourselves. So this is a time of taking responsibility for ourselves and not handing our decisions over to somebody else to make. Just discerning what we do want and what we don't want, and acting accordingly.
Yep. And on that's very good, Royce and Donna. This is Donna. Just on the whole political realm and the news and everything that we choose to listen to and follow, that's another point of discernment, to make sure that we're following what, and that can take a lot of research or your own experiences, who you meet, who you know. I have found in traveling, much wide traveling around the country and some in other countries, is how you get the real news, because you're actually out there and you're meeting people having real experiences, or have had many experiences that you wouldn't meet if you're just sitting at home in your neighborhood. So I've been honored and blessed to meet many amazing people and learn a lot behind the scenes for many years of what's actually going on. So I had that head start. So I know not to believe a lot of what's on the news, and to get my own news the best I can from a lot of these connections I still have. And so, and just our own discernment, like Royce was saying, and very important right now to test our own discernment, what we're buying into, what we're, like Bev said, fearing. A lot of this fear is foisted on us by design. I think probably a lot of you listeners out there and participants probably realize this already, hopefully. But anyway, so our choice that we're doing is to be in the point of love and, honor and respect. Let everybody make their own choices. Everybody has free will, and just try to honor people's decisions, but also be able to make our own decisions and keep our health and our vibrations high. That's a very important part about health. Very important part is where your vibrational field is and your quotient of love, so to speak, for yourself and others.
Good. Thank you. This is Bev. Yeah. Well, one thing I wrote in my notes, and I'm looking down at them, and I had written, "Is this the unmasking?" And I thought that was a good play on words. Because
good.
Yeah, because that is the unmasking of ourselves. And taking that full responsibility, as you said. We've talked about that, before too. letting go of societal I don't know what to call them pressures, norms, and all of a sudden there is no norms anymore.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
What's normal?
Yeah. Everybody says it's the new normal, or that it will never be normal again, and whatever that normal means.
Or do you even want to be normal, really, whatever that is?
Exactly. Do we want to be that old normal? Well, probably not, because we're starting to realize our true identity. So it's important to use your discernment. We talked about gut feel our last episode, and how does that feel within, and that will help you discern what is being mentioned on the news or whatever. Either that or you turn the news off, and you go with your own feelings and your own intuitiveness. So, all right, go ahead.
Well, this is Royce. I was just going to say, when you get that first twinge, where, wait a minute, that didn't sound right. That's when you stop and you say, I need to make a choice here. Am I going to keep listening to this or keep doing this, whatever it is, or am I going to make a new decision for myself?
Mm-hmm.
Make a new normal.
Make a new normal. Well, Bev again. I think most people know my voice by now. One thing that I remember, because Miss Royce here, she's very good at explaining things and making me look at things. And so when we're together, I may go into I can't believe this stuff is going on, blah, 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 blah. And then she looks at me and says, that's old. OLD. And I'm like, oh, you're right. That's old. That's really not where we're going. And it's that respect for others and whatever their path is, or to help with the unmasking, even though we may see that in a more negative way. But is it, or it allows us to see ourselves? So anyway, I appreciate the OLD, and it's like, oh.
Well, it is very easy to get caught up in that when it's coming at you from all different directions. It's a really a conscious effort, big on the effort, to keep ourselves in that good spot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is Donna. I've just found through the years of watching what's going on that the more we stay in the 0 point and the whatever you want to call it, the neutral zone beyond the polarities, just stay in the true reality, beyond all these games playing out and all these forces trying to pull on people, the more we can stay in that true center of ourselves and the universe, miracles truly happen, and it makes it easier to kind of skate through what's going on right now. And when you go out to stores or you see people or whatever, and just be a ray of blessing the best we can be, whether we're at home radiating that out or out in the public, and just be able to see through it all and pierce through it. And some people I notice actually pick up on it. You might see some people kind of on your same wavelength, or they're picking up on the wavelength of it, and they're grateful. Others are still operating out of great fear, but that's their choice. They can't even see because they're in such fear. So they're just like, their eyes are straight ahead, and they're like racing around, and bless everybody's heart. It's kind of, but it's all to wake us up more into love, I believe, too, and the true reality. Well, there's so much more we can say, but I'll stop right there for now.
So let me chime in here with Donna, because, and let's take a 10,000 view from 10,000 feet up and look down of what's going on. We've mentioned the Great Experiment, and the Great Experiment, and again, this is my interpretation, so please, bear with me on that. But, in the non-physical, it's much harder to advance spiritually. It just takes longer because the interactions are different than they are in the physical. The Great Experiment was, okay, let's create a reality, a virtual reality, where people, entities, mental entities, created from the Spirit, can enter on their own will and not have memory of where they came from, but have the ability, because they're in physical form, to grow faster and to see if that experiment would work. So we put the blinders on, and we volunteered to come down and see if we could remember our spirituality and see, how much we could grow. And when Donna mentioned the 0 point, it's absolutely fantastic and correct, because in the physical world, it's a dichotomy. It's right and left, up and down, positive and negative. And those are the polarities that this experience is trying to pull us in. And the goal, from my standpoint, is to remain centered, be able to see the poles that are moving, and know what you're here for. And it's hard, it's challenging if you're not aware of who you are, spiritual being, and why you're here, is to grow spiritually and to help others. So if you find yourself one way or the other, on a right or a left or an up or a down or a positive or a negative, go back, ask yourself, what in me is causing me to be on this polarity? Because I can assure you your lesson is on the opposite polarity, whatever that might be. Because you've picked this. You're going to pick the natural, easiest flow to be on, when that not necessarily be the lesson to be learned. So if you could stay centered and focused and use some of the tools that we shared in the past, and we'll share with you again, say, okay, I'm on the right now, and I believe on the right. I believe all of these on the right. If you just go in and go within and say, what in me is polarizing me to this right side? I choose to remember, I choose to know, thank you, I love you. And Spirit will tell you what your lesson is at this point in view, because you've moved yourself to the center and taken you off the side of polarity. And everything can be done that way, because your answers are all within you. It's just that you've polarized yourself and identify with that so that nothing else can talk to you. So what Donna said, staying centered and being the C in Aikido, which is a martial arts, Japanese martial arts, it's very interesting. In Jiu-Jitsu, it's angles. Everything's an angle. Take the angle that is, if they're right angle, go take the right angle and move it and switch it and get yourself out of the hold. In Aikido, you're the center of the circumstance. Bring them into your center, become one with them, and flow, and all of a sudden you're out of the circumstance that you were caught in before. Total different experience in that martial art. I took both of them. I love Aikido because of the principle of bringing them in. And if I could ever physically show you a demonstration, you'll see that Jiu-Jitsu is the hard angles, and it's actually a little bit more difficult to learn and get out of, where Aikido is once you become one with your aggressor and you blend, you're immediately out of the circumstance. Phenomenal. Anyway, thank you, Donna, for bringing that up.
Thank you. That was a good summation, too. Thank you.
Okay. Any more on that? Royce?
No.
Okay. Well, it takes us into something that I wanted to talk about, and that is I'm hearing about people that want to avoid conflicts, and I'm not saying conflicts of the protests and stuff like that are going on, but it may be with your spouse or a sibling, whatever it may be. Okay, and it's number one is to be honest with yourself. We've talked about that so many times. Be open and be forthright in your discussions. Now, I'm going to let a couple people here speak, and that's had some experiences with this. But, I know personally I used to hold back because I was afraid, of a conflict happening or speaking my truth. And I know, Terry, you were talking about, coming into this reality earlier, and many of us are remembering past lives, and so we have our merging selves going on. I believe we have talked about that in past episodes too. But I know in past lives, I was submissive, and I was a little bit in this life too. I started using my power a lot more. However, I was also remembering where I did use my power, and I think some of the sitting here have said, "I'm not going to burn again." Nobody's going to stop me. Just things that we have said, and all of a sudden it comes out of our mouth, and like, whoa, where did that come from? But it's from memories of other lives and saying, no, I'm not going to be shut up anymore. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you all add what you want to add.
Well, I would add, this is Donna again, that it's so important that we're honest in our relationships and friendships and business connections, everything. And I find in my own experience it's much more fruitful, even if you think something, you don't want to get into any so-called conflict or different viewpoints, but if we can just share it out of our own experience and from a point of love and understanding instead of starting to yell at each other, but just try to set up a scenario where you're both able to just talk with each other, honestly, whatever it is, and you can always come to a better resolution and understand each other better. And that's, again, releasing the shackles of, just being able to have free expression with each other. And, it's just come up a number of times this week. We've seen it coming up in our own lives, so we thought it was an important thing to share.
Well,
Thank you.
That brings up, earlier on in some of the earlier podcasts, I mentioned 3 injunctions that I keep in mind that I learned from Dr. Brew Joy. And those were make no comparisons, make no judgments, and delete your need to understand. Because our conscious mind always wants to understand, and it's not in control. So when you can do that, it allows the subconscious and your superconscious, which is the higher self, come in and help instruct. But if we just focus, like when Donna said, if you get angry, or if someone says something to you and you get angry, they've attacked you. And it wasn't an attack personally, that's just what they were doing. And so you went into defensive mode by responding back in an attack. At that moment is what you need is to center and be non-judgmental in what's going on, and give forgiveness back, because that was a defense mechanism on their part for something that happened that they're experiencing, that they created. And it's not you assume it's an attack. It's not. It's something that you have brought to yourself so that you can grow and learn from it. And so if you attack that, you learn nothing from it. If you don't judge it and give forgiveness back, then that you learn from that experience. Your inner self will tell you what that was for. As opposed to later, if you attack back and stuff, like I used to do, and sometimes I do, I go, gosh, why did I do that? I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. Well, if you can do it up front and do it earlier, you don't have to go through all that pain and suffering and regret. Just remember, make no judgments on that. There's a book out there. I haven't read it for eons and eons, and I think it's in my bookshelf. I'm going to go find it. If not, I'm going to order it again. It's called The Littlest Star. And it's a very small book. It's a story. And if you read this book, you'll understand how, and you'll stop judging. It'll help you to stop judging. The Littlest Star. And if I can find it, and it's not that long, maybe one of these Tuesday nights I'll just read the book, because it's a fantastic tale on helping someone realize that they don't understand what's going on here, and you not to judge, because you don't know why that person is there. And it explains it very, very well.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
Royce, do you want to add?
Well, I was thinking about opening up the dialogue when things are not going swell, when conversations are getting rather heated. If you can calm down and be that steadying tool to begin to talk instead of to scream, then at least, well, just talking for myself, I know that I used to hold back an awful lot. I wouldn't say anything, even in a meditation group, and I would go home frustrated because I had something to say, but I didn't say it, and so that was for me to learn from. You don't feel good if you can't express yourself. But if you're with somebody and the discussion is getting heated and you try to calm it down so you can just talk, that's for you. It's not for the other person. If they take it and take it, internalize it and try to calm down, then that works for them too. That's part of their path. But that may not be part of their path. This may be just for you, just for you to see what you're going to do, and that's what life is, isn't it? It's for each one of us to see how we're going to react or how we're going to act for anything. But don't expect that anybody is going to act any differently, because that's up to them.
Yeah, right. Good point. Yes.
Yeah. And just to add on to that before we go on is when we try to interfere.
Yeah.
Because we think we know what's best. And it usually doesn't work. And then the other person gets in that defensive mode. And it's in that so-called interference, it does you no good. It does them no good. It does nobody any good. So it's like back off. And I don't know how many times, I want to try to help somebody, and then it doesn't work. And then I realize, back off. And so I do, most of the time. But other times it's like you want to jump in and be of help, and it's not helping. So, I'm learning my lessons too. And as what we talked about at the beginning is removing those shackles. And, that's going to shackle me and it's going to shackle another person. And I really don't want to do that because they have their own path and I have my own path. And so anyway, I think that respect that we talk about, respect of another. And that's really what it's coming down to, and understand that each person has whatever they want to experience. And we come together to experience some things together, and then other times we'll just say, okay, I'm done with that, and they go on. So it's really fun to see that, because then you're in that flow, and then your life flows so much more effortlessly.
Well,
all right. All right. I'm going to mention this because I know we're running, we're almost at 30 minutes, but only because we were talking about this in the last 3 days, or 2 days, and that is again, not to put any fear in anybody, but there have been a lot of earthquakes going on, and there, at least I know 2 of you here, that feel earthquakes in your bodies, and it just, because we have such a symbiotic relationship with the earth, we're not separate. And so what the earth is going through, Gaia, many people feel it within their body structure. So then I'll bring something else up that I was seeing internally about the earth in just a bit. But anyway, Royce, do you want to talk about how you feel during earthquakes and or if something's going on?
Well, personally, I usually feel earthquakes from the knee down, feel them in my legs, and I can be lying down or with my feet on the ground, and I'll feel that movement it's like waves coming up my legs. But I was thinking, and I was talking with you, Bev, earlier about it's really no wonder to me that we're having a lot of earthquakes right now because of what's going on with us. You know, we are so one with the earth that what goes on with us is reflected in her. What goes on with her is reflected in us. You know, it's a back and forth kind of thing. So when we're emotionally quaking on the inside, of course she's going to be quaking, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good way to put it.
So maybe we can carry the earthquake stuff over into next session in 2 weeks, which will be on July 14th. And then carry forth from there, too, and talk about how our relationship with Mother Earth and our emotional bodies, because even though, you know, we have ties to all the celestial bodies, but obviously we have a much stronger tie to Mother Earth. And so we can bring that up in our next session on the 14th. How do y'all feel about that?
I think that's great. Yeah.
All right, good. So, folks, we've gone through another half an hour. It just flies by. We appreciate you. We love you. I want to thank our co-hosts here tonight, Royse, Donna, and Bev. And until in our next 2 weeks, July 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we look forward to seeing you. Come back to talk to us on Conscious Gatherers. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I think it's, okay, good night. I don't think it's July 4th. I think it's after that, right?
No, it's July 14th.
Oh, 14th. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
See you
all right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.